This is how I am in the light. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. Odin's Eye. Something I'm noticing in my older, wiser years is that a lot of people are like me and they want more in-depth reviews of certain products. And so I have been making more of an effort to dive into these products a little bit more and talk about products per brand and things like that. Pros, cons, all of that. One brand that I find does not get nearly enough love is Odin's Eye. So if you know anything about Odin's Eye, I believe it's a Swedish brand and they sell a lot of eyeshadow. I don't know if they sell anything other than eyeshadow. I do know they sell eyeshadow. Take that with a grain of salt. If you look it up and they do sell eyeshadow, let me know. Sorry. If you look it up and they sell stuff other than eyeshadow, love to hear it. But I have mostly been interested in their eyeshadow because it is stunning. Now, keep in mind, I'm not actually wearing this eyeshadow today because I am batch filming. So the eyeshadow that I have on today is another indie makeup brand that you can find out about if you watch that other video. Okay, you can see that I've tested out like a decent amount and I have a bunch of their single shadows as well from Odin's Eye. There's so much to love about this brand. If you've never heard of it, I think that they do eyeshadow really well. If you've watched my content at all, you know that I love a matte eyeshadow that's really soft and smooth. They have this. So I have a bunch of their mattes. I have been trying to go through the ones that I have currently. So I haven't started in on this yet, but I plan to. If you swatch, let's actually swatch the red because I find that red well, actually, let's do this pastel orange. I find that reds often don't show up as a true red. Look at that pastel though. So pretty. And so just to give you an idea, these are just as soft as Blend Buddy, just as movable. This is also an indie brand. So if you're having a hard time getting a hold of this or want to know a little bit more about it, honestly, I don't know any stores that sell this around here. I'm so sorry. But Blend Buddy is very similar in texture, but beautiful mattes. I will say the same thing, like that is specifically a matte. They're single eyeshadows. This is not actually, I didn't mention this isn't actually a palette that they sell. Well, this container is something that they sell, but these are individual matte eyeshadows that I popped into one of their containers. This is a palette that they sell, and I think the same thing about this. First of all, this color story, one of my favorites. I love the blues and purples and all of that. And like I said, their mattes are pretty unmatched, I think. They're just stunning. I actually think that, like I said, I'm not as particular when it comes to shimmers, so take this with a grain of salt. If you're very particular with your shimmers, maybe this isn't the way to go for you, but I actually really enjoy their shimmers as well, which kind of surprised me because I find that their shimmers have just this little bit of reflect that I think is hard to find. Now, one of the things that I think is really cool about Odin's Eye is they've made multi-chromes just a little bit more accessible. Their multi-chromes are about $12 a piece, which I know, hear me out, I know that that's an expensive price point, but if you compare that to the multi-chromes that Pat McGrath sells, she sells her palettes for $100 and something. You can buy a whole palette full of multi-chrome for under $100 from Odin's Eye. Same thing with like Cleona. Theirs are actually a little bit more expensive, if not a lot more expensive, depending on what multi-chrome you're getting. There's some multi-chromes from like Cleona that are like $16, and there's some that go up to like $30, and it just depends on the one. So I think that these are very, very accessible. Now, something I will say, I mean, all of these are multi-chromes from Odin's Eye. One thing to keep in mind, the very first set of multi-chromes that they came out with, I don't think are necessarily true multi-chromes. That's what they had them labeled as. But for instance, this one is probably one of the best examples. This is Leon, I believe. That is one of the most stunning reds I've ever seen. I don't really think this is a multi-chrome. I mean, multi-chromes are typically going to shift from a few different colors. If it's not shifting a few different colors, I don't think that you can really consider it a multi-chrome. That said, these are all really stunning. This is actually probably a very much better example. So on the camera, you see kind of a green and orange. In person, you see purple and green, just depending on the reflect. That is more of a true multi-chrome. I will also say they have put together this. That's a lot of different colors as well. And I think that these lean a lot more towards true multi-chromes as well. Like, look at that one. That one's like pinkish orange. in person, it's a little bit more purpley, orange, and blue. So, I mean, really stunning. But the ones that I really, really like the best from them, and the ones that I think are the best bang for your buck, are actually, I'm going to wipe these off, even though they're stunning. I want to make room for more on my hand. Ooh, look at how sparkly I am all of a sudden. This is how I am in the light. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. I'm so sorry. I've been seeing memes of that everywhere lately, and it's very funny to me. But these more translucent colors, I think, are the best bang for your buck. Oh, if I broke that, I might cry. These are the ones that I use the very, very most out of everything. There's a few reasons for this. They work really, really well if you've done like a completely matte eyeshadow look and then you put something over the top of this. These work so well for that. And if you've never really gotten into multichromes, I could tell you this. Whenever I wear some sort of multichrome product, I always get comments that are like, whoa, your eyeshadow, excuse me, is so cool. How is it doing that? It looks like it's green or pink or whatever. These are great for that. So let me just give you an example. I think this is probably the one that I wear the most. This one is, I don't know if you care about this. Let's see if I can find the shade name. I really need to cut off my nails because apparently I'm not actually mobile with them. Something Lily, whatever. So in the pan, you can see like it's maybe a little bit orangey. You can't really tell anything else from it. The back kind of has this like purple orange label, but then when I put it on the skin, it immediately turns purple. And look at that. Let me get out this one, like this shift in this is perfect, which I feel like the more pigmented ones, you don't get the same kind of effect from those. I mean, I can even show you another one. Let's actually do this one. This one is called Scarlet. That's a weird name for a blue. I've never looked at this one this closely. This kind of pinky shade. I feel like that's a pretty, I'm going to do two swatches. I'm going to do one for this top one for this second one, just to kind of throw it on top so you guys can kind of see the effect that it might give on top of another shadow. Because I find sometimes it surprises me. I'll apply it and then I'm like, oh, that's not what I expected it to turn to. I guess if you're doing your makeup the same every day, that shouldn't be a problem, but that didn't affect that one that much. But I will say that one is a pink and it kind of leans into it. This one's a little flakier, which I don't love that texture, but some of them are kind of like that. Do you see how it kind of like changed that purpley blue effect just a little bit? It made it a little bit softer. I don't know. I can't explain how much fun that I've had with these because quite frankly, they're just the perfect beginner-friendly multichromes. Like if you're like, I just want to try one or two, I would look into getting one or two of these guys. And again, it's these more translucent ones. They actually sell them. Let me pop one of these out so I can show you. Okay, it has to kind of be a strong magnet, so I grabbed this from my kitchen. Don't judge me. It worked well. So this one is actually called Scarlet, but they actually come in these little rectangular squares and you can buy these for it. I mean, you can have these little containers. I like these little containers, but any sort of palette that's like a magnetic palette, you can pop these into those and it'll fit just fine. So I wouldn't say that these are mandatory if you already have a partially empty palette. Let me actually grab one. If you already have a partially empty magnetic palette, these pop right in there and they're completely fine. And now I can't get it out because I have nails. But in case you're curious, this is one of the ones we swatched. It is indeed called Scarlet. It's M015 in case you're curious. The other one, let me double check the name on that. I do like these because I feel like it's an easy way to travel with some sort of like, if I'm really trying to dress up a look or dress up my eyes, stunning for that. Let's see. This one is Lily. It's M018. I don't know if that's focusing. There we go. That's the other one we swatched. Oh, this is a strong magnet. It holds up, it's strong enough to hold up mugs, so that's why I keep it on my fridge because I have my like little drink station right there. So it just, it was the one that was strong enough to get these out. In case you're curious, some of these other ones are Clara, Zoe, that's this one, Angelica, and Luna, I believe. Let me actually show you Luna because this one's really pretty too. Like on screen, you can see this one's fairly white with like a greenish tint, like greenish pinkish. They're just so pretty. Great way to try out some multi-chromes. I mean, I know not everybody's interested in this, but I think that the barrier to entry is fairly small with these. I think that, I mean, I spent a lot of time talking about the multi-chrome specifically, but these I think are just a little bit harder to work with and a little bit less shifty, for lack of a better term. I will say, if you love a good matte eyeshadow or are really into this kind of a color story, Odin's Eye is beautiful. But really what I gravitate towards the most and what I've used the most are these topper-like multi-chromes, because they are perfect. Versus these, I think, are very pretty and can create a beautiful effect. But I don't always find myself, let me show you this guy. This yellowy orangey color. This is probably a bad example. That one's a bad example. Let's do this one. This one's a perfect example. So that I think is pretty, but I'm not always going to find myself gravitating towards a very dark purplish green eye. It's not very everyday wearable, at least not for me. I work a corporate job most of the time, and I say that as if you guys know my life, but I work in an office. I don't always want to be completely purpley green, and I think it's not every day attainable for most people. So although those colors are pretty, I think that sometimes when the multi-chromes get too dark and deep, they start not being a very easy way to try out. Like that, again, stunning, but I can't picture me wearing this into an office, to a rave maybe, but not an office. And the same kind of goes for a lot of these deeper, darker multi-chromes. Like stunning, but it's just not going to be an everyday wear for me. So there you have it, kind of my opinions on the Odin's Eye eyeshadows. They are stunning. They make beautiful mattes and beautiful multi-chrome shadows, just depending on if you have ever wanted to try some multi-chromes. They're at a great price point. If you got all the way through this, I think that you are a rock star. Hopefully hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Bye!